What's happening, everybody? trueeevil here, and today I'm going to be breaking down my account and giving myself a review. We're at the end of Season 0 of RTA, and Season 1 is about to begin. So to really set things off, I'm going to just show everyone my account and how I'm going to be building it during Season 1 to set me up for success. Now, I ended Season 0 with the highest rating I got at Masters 2, but I want to hit Mythic next season. So to really work on that, I'm going to just talk about what I think I need to improve. So without further ado, let's talk about the account. Now, Doki Doki is my only character that I have fully latticed on the account, and she is really strong and a necessity for me because I haven't pulled Lily yet, and I haven't pulled Tsukio yet, so I really need that opener. Now, she does get banned if I do try to focus her, but I don't really use her as an opener because I'm a bruiser account. What I use her for is a sort of like counter to control matchups. I really want her pick 3 against control, and if they are a smart control player, they're going to try to turn 1 pick this in RTA. So because of that, you know, you're picking it first and you're trying to get another answer to control as a bruiser player. Now, that's the PvP aspect, and in PvE, she really saved me. The backup stacks with the Purify absolutely save you in a lot of matchups, such as Inferno Sharon, Inferno Aurora, and even Inferno Doki Doki. And once you get this to level 5 and the skill 2 to level 4, you are just really popping off with her. The bad side, though, of her using her in PvE is that she's making you do a lot more damage, and your characters are faster, but you're going for those slow wins. So if you are using her, it's going to make it really easy to win, but you're probably going to get that 1 star. So if you are using Doki Doki, then what's going to end up happening is you're going to need like a fast cleave team to really get that 3 stars so you can farm the 10s. And unfortunately, I don't have a cleave unit on my account, so a lot of the harder content that isn't beatable with the dot team, I just, you know, it's a 1 star. I can only do 5 at a time. It is what it is. And hopefully my next thing I'm going to build on my account is a way to beat that. And luckily I did pull some units that I'm going to work on to really make it so I can 3-star everything and really set my account up for farming success. Now let's keep going down. Now the next unit we're going to talk about is my main damage dealer in RTA and just main PvP unit. I wouldn't say I use her in pretty much any PvE content, but in PvP she is goated, and that is Tiamat. Now, the reason she is goated is because of her sort of mitigating damage with her skill 1's passive effect, which she shares damage taken by other allies. And this really pairs well if you give her Bloodbath. As you can see we have here, we do Bloodbath, Bramble, Swift Smite. The reason why Bramble is so good is when she's in ultimate form, you can get those AoE damages going on with the true damage. And also the skill 1 proc on the regular version can set it up so you Bramble the skill 1, then you pop off into the ultimate and give an ultimate hit. It can do some absolutely crazy snowballing effects, so I really like Bramble on her. Now, for my lattice investment, I do wish I had a little bit more lattices on her, but you know, lattices are really hard to come by, and I'm just not going to spend 30 bucks all the time for this upgrade because honestly, you know, I could buy a Switch 2 or something instead, and I would rather do that right now. So what I have with her is the level 4 to give her the max amount of HP and some good amount of damage and HP recovery. Now it would be really nice to get that 2% extra true damage, but it is what it is. And I did 1 lattice into her skill 2, and the reason I did it into the skill 2 is her defense is one of the lowest in the game. It's at 590, which is absolutely abysmal. Most other characters are around like 700. I think Ling Luo is also the second lowest in the game, but as you can see, most characters like regular are 600 to 700 with the defense damage dealers at like 900. So Tiamat, really low defense, so nice to get that 1 point in for the defense, and it also makes her shield a whole lot stronger. Like, sometimes her shield is just really minuscule, it feels like, so having that extra 15% on the increase is really nice because on the unlatticed version of it, it's 90% of the HP she used gets a shield, so I kind of want to make it at least a little bit more to make her survivability better. Now, for the shell, I opted for Lighthouse with the Bloodbath, Bramble, Swiftmite, and right now, because I got this really late, it took me like 2 weeks of only farming Rango to get this shell, and because of that, I haven't had a lot of shell credits to reroll for this. I've used about 2 million shell credits so far trying to get something better than a blue Shadow Dash, but apparently the game doesn't want me to have something better than that, which it is what it is right now, so hopefully I roll something better in the next week. We'll see how it goes. Now, really strong into Revelation, really strong into any cleave team, so that's why she's my main. Now for my mirrors, because I'm a bruiser account, what I use is Rahu. Now my Rahu's at 445, he's really juiced up. I use him for almost all PvE content because I'm using Doki Doki a lot. It just snowballs you into those easy W's. But what I use him in PvP for is for the Bruiser Mirrors, and because of that, I'm not using him against Revelation Cleave, so my modules are going to be Unbreakable, Bramble, Coloss Guard. I don't really need Bloodbath for those matchups. I just need to absolutely wail on Tiamats and Holdens. So this is the setup for that. I really like everything with it, and the shell, of course, is just an artisan to really make him do more damage, more survivability, more of that good stuff. Really strong, great bruiser for the mirror. If you don't have Rahu, I would recommend Makoto as the SR variant, but you know, I just think Makoto is sort of an AliExpress version of Rahu, so that's my take on that. Now, going on, we have Ling Lugi. Now, Ling Lugi has also an abysmal defense stat, just like Tiamat, and she's doesn't feel as good as Valerian when you first get her, but like a couple days in and with a little bit of investment, she is the best healer in this video game. And that is because of her skill 1. Once it's completely maxed out and it makes the duration of Whale's Prayer to 2 turns, she is healing like crazy in almost all PvE content where you need a healer, and it does cleanse with that skill 1 with the Rockstar effect, which is really nice, especially if you have like 5 stacks of Whale's Prayer on. You're just like always going to cleanse yourself. Really nice. And I got the skill first upgrade on the skill 2 for the extra defense. It gives you that flat defense, and I don't think the rest of it has it. I think it's effect res. Nope, it is more defense, but because of how low her defense right is, like plus 5% of 563, that's only like a 28 defense, which is pretty abysmal. So because of that, I just wanted to get that flat 70, really make her a little bit stronger, and I got that extra HP for the survivability. Her lattices feel a little underwhelming because I think it starts off at 12% and then it goes to 13%, and it technically is a 2% increase because it heals twice, but even then it's a little underwhelming on that. What you really want with her, of course, is speed and Whale's Prayer, and to just use the skill 3 as a immunity shield for everyone. So that's how I built her. For the shell, I really like Gigabyte with 12 Swift Rush, 12 Bloodbath. I want her to be as fast as possible and as bulky as possible, because if she doesn't have Bloodbath, she gets one-shotted quite a bit. So really like that. And this is helpful in PvE too, especially against like Rango. If you don't have Bloodbath and use Ling Luo against Rango, it is a bad time. So definitely would recommend some Bloodbath. Now, moving on, we have Holden. Holden is a very good character in this game, and I have him set up with Bloodbath, Unbreakable, Coloss Guard. And the reason for that is a lot of the times in high elo, the cleave player is going to ban a Tiamat because, well, they don't want to have to deal with that. So we need to have another damage dealer, and Holden is our damage dealer for that. And because of that, instead of Strive, I go for Unbreakable just for the most damage possible. And I really like this setup. And I think he's very powerful, really strong, love the D-spell. The skill 2 is an absolute nuke, as well as can really push that turn meter back and make it so like a Sonya can't use the skill 3 that could really mess you up. Just generally a really strong unit, and I do like hold in for the mirrors as well. And I use him for pretty much all the PvE content because you can build him up to be a really strong DPS. Highly recommend him. Now, Hoyan. I started using Hoyan a lot. I'm still working on her, but right now at the 1-2-4 investment in PvP, she can one-shot Mios, she can one-shot Yellies that don't have Bloodbath, she can pretty much one-shot everything I need her to one-shot except Kazuya right now. Kazuya's are a bit more bulky. I do think Kazuya has one of the highest defense stats in the game. Like, this is an average 654, and I think Kazuya's 820? 808, okay. So Kazuya has one of the highest defense stats in the game, and because of it, it's a little bit hard to break through. So I would need to invest a little bit more, but she can do the job most of the time. So it is what it is on that front. For her module, I really like Bulwark on her because sometimes if I don't know exactly which CCs make it so she doesn't use her passive, but you know, I don't care. I just want to make sure she does her passive so she has Bulwark on. And that's really important. The momentum isn't really here for the extra damage on the debuffs. Like, sometimes you do get that extra damage and it is really nice, but it's for that crit rate. Because let's face it, if she does her passive and she doesn't crit, you just pretty much lose, I feel like. So I want to have the highest crit rate possible with 94%, and the Fury Edge just for that extra crit rate and more damage. And the shell I'm using is Count because Count is the only real DPS shell in the game that has Bulwark, so really, really strong. And I really want this passive to be crit damage, but as you can see, I have no shell credits and I can't roll anything I want to save my life. And I am rocking the Blade of Hollow, and I would like the overclocking to be red. So what I do want this to be eventually is red attack percent, crit damage percent, and keep this. So sort of almost built, and I would switch the momentum out for something else if I get more crit rate. So that's how I'm building that, and honestly, if I do get more crit rate, I might actually just switch the momentum out and put crit rate percent on the passive effect. So just generally going to be working on that. Now, I don't have really anything built on my Freya anymore, which is a little sad. As you can see with the main characters I showed as damage dealers, I don't really have anyone that scales off attack percent. So attack up generally doesn't do anything for my account, which is a little bit sad. So I did strengthen her up for some PvE content, but because I am a bruiser account, not really doing revelation, I just didn't feel the need to like really invest into her anymore. And it's a little bit sad because she is a really, really strong unit and I do like her design, but you know, you have to build with what you're given. So didn't build the Freya, unfortunately, but if I did build Freya and I was using her as a revelation unit, like a lot of people are doing, what I would have done is max out the skill 1. And the reason I would max the skill 1 out is for that extra speed, basically. That's pretty much it. At this point in the game, we're about 7 weeks in, and you just need as much speed as humanly possible. And at this point, like if you are trying to get mythic rank and you don't have as much speed as you possibly can as someone who's not a bruiser player, then you are absolutely trolling. So in that retrospect, definitely should skill 1 max the Freya. Now moving on, we have Mia. Now Mia is a character that helped me a lot in PvE at the beginning of the game, especially with things like Aurora and Inferno Sharon, but as I eventually got more lattices, those things became easier, and she became not as much as a necessity. Now, she is very strong in PvP. She's one of the best characters for controls because of her skill 2 with the pushback and dispel. That way, you can have a dispel effect for, say, you know, Obel is the main choice for that, but if they deny you the Obel somehow, then it's nice to have the Mia for the dispel too. You want to have like 2 AoE dispellers that can do some really helpful functions, and you know, Mia is a great slot for that. And unfortunately, you know, I just don't have a team that would really want her in PvP, and in PvE she's kind of outclassed, and I only use her now for the Inferno Aurora. So I have a pretty good shell on her. I switched this between my Kazuya and her, and Swift Rush Time Weave. I wouldn't do this for I would not do this for PvP because this is kind of a throw in PvP in my opinion, but everything else good in PvE. Now, Fushu is the next character I want to talk about. I have her at 145. I have the skill 2 maxed out, so the Moonlit Veil always triggers because this is absolutely insane. And then the shield for the HP because the HP makes her things better, and just want to get the most out of Moonlit Veil. Now, as you can see here, I do not have Bloodbath on her, and I rock the Supernova, which some people think is weird. And the reason I have that, I'm gonna just talk about it because some people think I'm a troll when I say I like Supernova, and the reason I'm using Supernova is because I only use Fushu in 2 circumstances. I use her for PvE, and in PvE I'm generally using her as the only healer, so the heal over time is really helpful, but more importantly I use her for the Bruiser Mirror. So basically, the reason she's good is because since everyone in the Bruisers category is rocking Bloodbath, they're not going to be dealing the most damage possible, and it makes it so I can use this heal over time effect to really mitigate most of their damage, and just focusing on other stats to make just everything better. So I really like this build for her, and the synergy is just to make it so we burn through the bloodbaths quicker, and I like some speed on her just to help cycle. So generally a really strong unit. If I had Lilith, she's amazing with Lilith in the Bruiser Mirror, but unfortunately I don't, so I like to try to do Fushu Doki Doki. Really strong to have speed up and just like as much speed and giving the other team speed down. That's how you win the Bruiser Mirror. Just really powerful unit. Now, Shadow Sonya isn't a PvP unit, and since we're mostly talking about that, not really relevant, but I did max out the skill 1 to farm Shadow Flame Hoyon, as well as Nico Nana, and a lot of other things at the beginning. She's really strong on certain content, and in Ethernet Rally and Ember Trek she also really shines, but I only use her for those PvE contents, and some of those game modes only happen every 3 weeks, some of them every month, and then the other stuff is just like, you know, sometimes I don't farm Shadow Flame Hoyon for like a month, and that's okay. It's just really nice to have this in the back pocket. So that's all I'm going to talk about with her. Now, Sonya is a really strong unit once she's fully maxed and really helpful in PvP. I don't really use her in PvE that much. I only use her, I think, in Inferno Rango, just in case if Rango gets a one-shot, because when she revives, they don't have all those stacks anymore. Just really helpful for making that percentile be 100%. Now, for her shell, what we're rocking is Bloodbath, Strive, of Volguard. And now, this isn't what I would like. What I would like from her is 12 Swift Rush, 12 Bloodbath, just like my Ling Luo, but unfortunately, that's not what we've pulled. And we have to go with the punches on that. And due to that, we're just going to rock the red Shadow Dash and Strive and Volguard. It makes the heals a little bit stronger, but I would prefer her to cycle more. So it is what it is right now. Hopefully it'll get better. The next character we're going to talk about is going to be Ting. Now, as you can see, I don't have a Lily on my account. I don't have a Kloss built on my account. So Ting hasn't ever really truly impressed me enough to like use him for pretty much anything. I use him for the guild boss because I can borrow units, but that's pretty much it. My Rahu just generally does more damage than Ting, which is very weird in my opinion, but it's just because of just how my account is, and I do wish people would stop saying he's tier 0, because honestly you can make Fangus do more damage with him if you don't have a Lily or something to really make him pop off. So really just wanted to mention that. Gray is a character I really liked in the final test, and I thought he was amazing, and he was very good in this game until about day 12, and then you hit that wall and realize Gray sucks. And that's just because he has, I think he has the lowest defense in the game, it feels like, and he just dies all the time, which makes it so he's not good in Terramaton past Hell 3. He's yeah, he's just like underwhelming. I keep him up for Doki Doki Inferno, as well as sometimes in PvP, if I just don't have a unit, they pick most of my units, I'll just throw Gray out there because he cycles so quickly, gives everyone crit rate, gives everyone defense down. He's an amazing unit. It's just his general stats are just too weak to be desired. And I will probably reset him if we do get some resets for Season 1, just because I did pull Kloss, and Kloss would make it so I can actually use Dating. So definitely going to build Kloss and put the Gray on the back burner, I think. Now, a unit I use for pretty much everything in the harder to deal with PvE content in the game, like the End of Ember Trek, Inferno Aurora, Inferno Rengo, just anything where I need damage reduction from his passive, I use Viper. And Viper is insane once you max him out, and especially if you pair him with Bloodbath. Now, unfortunately, this isn't the shell I would recommend for him to have. What I would like to have is Bloodbath, Swift Rush, Swift Smite. But I wouldn't do that on an Artisan shell, right? I would probably do that on a Jackal Guard or just something else. Actually, I do like Amber on him as well. It's just I don't think this is the desire. You do want him to have some speed. So because of that, you know, you're really looking for some other things. I think Lighthouse is amazing on him. Unfortunately, I've only pulled one good Lighthouse, and even then, I've only pulled one Lighthouse with Bloodbath. I think Bloodbath is pretty much a requirement. But if I did have a Lighthouse, I would do 12 Bloodbath, 8 Swift Rush, and 6 Swift Smite. That's how I would build him. And, you know, if you don't need Bloodbath on him, which he's a PvP unit, so right now how the game is with Revelation, you kind of just have to have Bloodbath. I do like having Swift Rush, Bramble, and having like Swift Smite or Ether Plague here. So that's another thing I want to point out. Now, Valerian is a character that was really, really powerful in PvP at the beginning of the game. In RTA, she kind of doesn't work as well as she used to. But, you know, I still use her a little bit in PvE. She's nice, and she's really good in AI arena because you can't really control Ling Luo that well. Can't control Sonya all that well. But, you know, you can control this because it's just a stick. Now, I like Gigabyte on it because once she breaks out a Hazy Dream, it pretty much just auto triggers. And I like the Time Weave just to make it so she can get in the Hazy Dream quicker, and Wellspring for bigger shields. Not really much to say about this character. Pretty much worthless now on the account, and because of that, I have Sonya, Ling Luo as healers, but the next healer I want to talk about is the next character I'm going to build on my account, which is Veronica. Veronica is absolutely amazing in PvP, especially once you get the skill 1 to level 4, because it makes it so when she's attacked once per turn, she gets increased turn meter effect by 35%. And that's just going to make her really cut extremely well, especially when she's paired with something like maybe a Lighthouse. I'm probably going to put a Codex on her. We're going to really see if I pull a good Lighthouse for her. And what I'm going to rock is sort of the same way I built those other healers, where I'm going to do Swift Smite, Swift Rush, Bloodbath, and some type of fixture for that. And I'm going to upgrade the skill 3 a little bit too, maybe the skill 2. Now, the skill 2 is going to be probably her main thing because you're trying to push her up to shield to really deal with Revelation cleaves. So because of that, I do want to put a little bit in skill 2, but the skill 3 is needed for the percentiles. So this is definitely the next character on the chopping block. I might upgrade Lilium. It really just depends how much you need to upgrade Lilium, because if I only need to 6-star Lilium to win the control matchups, then that's totally fine for me. Now, other characters before we talk about characters I'm going to build is Kazuyo. Kazuyo is just an amazing character. If you don't have her at 555, I highly recommend to do so. There's multiple ways to build her, and I think the two most viable is with Revelation, because with Revelation they might not think you're going to go control, so it makes pivoting a lot easier. And with the Codex, you're really just using her for the back-to-back skill 3, which is absolutely brutal if they're not prepared for it. You can mog on a lot of noobs this way. So because of that, I like the most speed possible, most effect accuracy, and Bulwark just in case if she's not quick enough. So really, really strong combo. She doesn't have a D spell like Obel, so unfortunately not as powerful, but I do like her a little bit more because she is a little bit faster. Now, I do have a maxed Obel, and I did this for Shadow Flame Hoyon, just needed to get him a little bit more juiced up. And I don't have enough Swift Rush, unfortunately, don't have enough speed to really utilize him. I think he needs at least 310 speed to be usable, and needs to be faster than my Kazuya. So unfortunately, I am just not using him now. But I will in the future, and especially once I upgrade a character like Mio to really make it so I can use the control teams. And then Fangus is really powerful. I like using him with Swift Rush. Swift's my, just speed, putting those dot effects. And I use him in PvP a little bit. I only use him in the bruiser mirror just in case if it's like, oh, they don't have like a real cleanse. I was able to get the Doki and I can ban the Ling. Then it makes it really easy to dot them down. So I really like having Fangus as that, as well as he does speed down. Speed down is incredibly important because of characters like Viper. Viper is really strong because of the speed down in the mirror with the Dispel. And, Fangus has the speed down too. He's just dotting instead of Dispelling. So it is what it is. If you don't need to Dispel that much, he's great. And I have Vice built for PvE content. Unfortunately, Ember Trek basically requires Vice. I would do the Shadowrunner, but I don't have Lily, unfortunately. She's the character I'm trying to pull on my account, and I just don't have that. So even though Vice does help it, and I can win everything using him, that Apate 42 took me like 40 minutes because I had to manually, and when he misses the taunt, the minion spawn, gets a huge shield, huge pain. Just, he's a necessity because he's like the only character in the game I feel like who has taunt on his skill 1, but I wish I had a Lily. So I said I wanted to build Veronica. I want to build Kloss up. You don't really need to put that many lattices into Kloss to make her function, and I want to 6-star her so I can get like Dating to really pop off. Now, the reason I haven't done that already is because the new character Lilium is going to come out with Season 1, and I just want to wait a little bit more, because I can farm everything in PvE right now, it's just I can't 3-star it. So I do want to upgrade it, because I think Kloss is a necessity for getting those 3 stars, and is one of the best PvE units in the game. But because I'm focusing on PvP right now, really not a must required thing to do right now. So I have Kloss almost ready. And then Mio is an amazing opener. I just don't have enough lattices to make her worth it, because at this point she kind of needs to be 455, and I just don't have enough for that. Same thing with Chiako with that 455 mention, and that's pretty much all my account. Now, I do want to build a SSR Cleaver, which is a character I don't have built, and I either am going to want Messiah or Yeli. Now, I think I want Messiah, and the reason I want Messiah is because he is an absolute menace for my account, because I use Hoyon a lot, I use Viper a lot, and he ignores passives, which really bamboozles me. So definitely want to have him built up for a cleave unit, but the problem with that, of course, is Yeli's a little bit better in PvE. So gonna have to go back and forth. I do have a dupe of Messiah, I'm pretty sure. I pulled that instead of a Lily, sad face, but it is what it is. So I'll probably upgrade him, because I do think he's incredibly powerful if you pair him with something like Bloodbath plus like Count or Revelation to really pop off, with Fury Edge and something else to give him like crit rate or crit damage or something like that. So really gonna probably build Messiah if I can. The problem is, of course, is just there's no lattices in this game. And then for another units, we're going to build it really, probably only going to focus on Makoto, and Makoto is going to be there for more bruiser mirror action, not really necessary for anything else, but just pointing it out. She absolutely bamboozles Tiamats, so really good if they get that pick 3, they lock in to do the bruiser mirror, can really lay the noise down, especially if they go like Rahu and then Tiamat is their locked pick. Makoto really shines in that. But I would prefer to build Kraken. The only problem with Kraken is I don't have Mio built, so it's kind of like clashing with those parts, as well as Rin the Unbowed can be really strong if I upgrade her. and makes it so like I can do Aurora fast. Now I could do Sybil instead, but like Rin is just so powerful in PvP that I kind of want to build her instead. So just mentioning that. So I do want Kraken though because of the freeze. Freezing is incredibly powerful in this game, so definitely want him a little bit juiced up. But yeah, that's where my account is. I've sort of talked about how I'm going to be building it. I'm going to be really strengthening these units up. Probably going to pick up Lilium. I want to get Lily and just really focusing on what I have, which is the bruisers. And once I have the resources, build the control side of this and possibly a cleave unit where I'm not going to be able to pivot to cleave in my team because it's just 100% bruiser, but having that Messiah built with like a void set or something with bloodbath can really make him a nuisance, and with 3 healers can just outright win the game on his own right. So yeah, that's where we're at. I hope this is really helpful for you and hope you have the best rest of your day. See you guys.